Hey guys, so this is the part where we're going to transition to our pitch. We're going to talk through our offer. Now, you've got some options here in that many people will go through the goals, they'll go through the cost of inaction, etc. And you'll get to this point where you say, well, you know what, based on what you've said, I really think that what we do may work for you. Is it appropriate for me to tell you about that? And then segue into the offer. Your other option is that you give some feedback where you've collated an awful lot of information at this stage and you've gone through the cost of inaction and you've kind of listened to that and you say, well yeah, that's kind of that is clearly a concern, where you reiterate the cost of inaction that they've talked about. Do you mind if I just give you some honest feedback? And most people will say, sure. And it's at this point where you can kind of do quite a powerful summary where you're able to say, so what you've told me is, you know, this is the problem, and these are the things that you've tried to do to fix the problem, but nothing's worked, right? So you tried this and it didn't work, you tried that and it didn't work, and you're still where you are all this time later, yeah? So, I think one of the reasons for that is, and then you tell them why you think it is, and it might be, hey, the common denominator is you. It may be that they've invested in the wrong thing. They've tried to fix one problem when the other problem was somewhere else. It might be that they've gone for what is just a sticking plaster solution rather than really getting into the guts of what the issue is and genuinely dealing with it. But you have an option to give them some feedback where where you then can say, does that sound about right to you? Well, yeah, it does. Okay. Well, look, based on what you've said to me, I think what we do could really help you. Would it be appropriate for me now to share that with you? And pretty much everyone says yes. So both those, so we've got to the same point of doing the offer, but you have the opportunity, if you wish, to give feedback. And sometimes that can work really, really well. If you've already had a lengthy call and someone's kind of really bought into to the whole process and you've got them buttoned down on the various stages already, it may not be necessary. But then we're going to transition into the pitch and just that permission based, would it be appropriate for me to share that with you now? Yeah, absolutely. And then you go into your offer. Now, it's always super helpful if you've got your offer broken down into key components. Makes it super digestible, makes it really, really easy to convey. So the other thing to realise is that whilst it's all completely clear to you, because you put the thing together and you talk about it all day every day, to other people it may be a little bit difficult to get the point across or to understand. So let's say, for example, you've got an offer which is 5 key components or 5 pillars. That can be quite a lot to go through, particularly if you've been on the call for quite some time. I've spoken before about people only have a certain amount of energy, of focus, of emotional reserves, depending on the nature of what you do and the way the call's gone. And people can just run out of energy. They can just time out. So we have to be really, really careful that we don't find ourselves in a situation where, and you should never be talking for 15 minutes anyway, but I've seen calls where the pitch is non-stop, 15 minutes, without so much as a, does that make sense? And at the end of it, the person is just like, please stop talking. You can see it in their eyes. They've just completely zoned out. So what I think is really important is that because you know exactly what the key problems are of your prospective client, regardless of the order that you would typically present your key components, you talk about the ones that are most relevant to them. Okay, so it might be that you've got 4 or 5 key elements to your offer, but you focus on the top 2 that are really crucial for where they are and to help them drive their outcome. And that enables you to talk about those in more detail, checking that you're bringing them with you. Does that make sense? Do you think that would work for you? Yeah, absolutely. And then for the kind of the other stuff, it means that you can summarize those. So if somebody has said that their main issue has been lack of accountability and just a lack of a plan, you could say that in almost any niche, right? But you would focus on that. So that, the first thing we do is we absolutely give you a clear roadmap for where you want to get to. We're going to understand exactly where you are, and we're going to put those key milestones in place so that you can get to your outcome in broadly the allotted time. Okay, does that make sense? Absolutely. And we'll be there every step of the way to hold you accountable, to make sure that you do the things that you say you're going to do. Because quite honestly, if you follow this roadmap, all you've got to do is show up and do what you say you're going to do, and as we ask you to do, and you're going to get the result. Does that make sense? Absolutely. Do you see that working for you? Absolutely. And then you've got a few other things now to talk about, but they're kind of, and you also get this, and you also get that, and that means you tie it back to where they want to go. So, and we've also got this, which also means that you get that with the added benefit of this. So you can layer, you talk about your features, your benefit, and if you can, tie on an additional benefit, which makes them think, oh, wow, okay, without overwhelming them with pure information. Okay, we just don't want to do it at this stage, because all of the hard work that you've done in the upfront portion of the call can absolutely go out of the window if you overwhelm them here. So you want to keep this really concise. In an ideal world, you don't want to be talking for more than about 3 minutes. I mean, seriously, you want to be able to convey your offer and what it means for them really, really concisely and quickly without that element of overwhelm. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, but part of my pitch is I like to show them things on the screen, I like to show them back end and how we work. Well, that's great, but I would still keep it really clipped, really focused. Make sure that anything that you plan to show visually is teed up and ready to go, so that you don't just drag the whole thing out waiting for pages to load and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. So we get to the end of the offer, and this is where we want to make sure that it's landed, and we ask something along the lines of, do you think this could be the answer that you've been looking for? Are those the kind of results that you're looking for? Do you see this process working for you? And you obviously want a positive response, right? And most people at this stage are going to go, yeah, absolutely, I do. Now this is where we get them to tell us why. And we simply ask, why though? Or what do you think specifically about it would work for you? Why do you feel it would work for you? And they're going to come back and they're going to say, well, I particularly liked this, and this. And you're going to say, what else? And I also liked this, and this. And they might not be as effusive to give you 10 things, but they're going to give you a number of things about your offer that they like and believe specifically will work for them. Excellent. But that's exactly what we do with our clients all day, every day. Where does that leave you? Well, we all know what's coming. We're going to be looking to transition to talking about the investment. And you would typically, to get there, you may say something along the lines of, so where would you like to go from here? And they may say, well, how do I get signed up? How do I move forward? And at this point, this is where you choose your style to go through your gears of giving the price and then talking about what the next stages are, Or you can do it the other way, talk about the next stages and then give the price. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here and I'm going to just do a separate module on the investment. And so I'll come back and talk to you about that shortly.